Imagine an AI that could teach itself to master the financial markets. I'm not talking about following a bunch of rules a human gave it, but actually learning from its own wins and losses. Just like we do. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, the journey of building an AI that learns to trade.
So that really gets to the heart of this whole thing, right? The central question is, could an AI actually develop a winning strategy all on its own, just by playing with market data and figuring out what works and what doesn't through trial and error?
And you know the secret sauce behind all of this? It's a technology called reinforcement learning. So today, we're going to walk through the entire process together. We'll look at how the bot is actually built, how it gets trained on old data, and then, the big one, how it's tested in a real-world simulation. Let's get into it.
Okay, so before we dive into building the actual bot, we got to understand what makes it tick. Let's start with the basics of how this reinforcement learning thing even works.
Okay, let's break this down. Basically, you've got your AI. We call that the agent. You drop it into an environment, which for us is the stock market. It can take actions, like buying or selling, and for every single action it gets a reward. A positive one for a profit, a negative one for a loss. And the agent's only goal, its entire reason for being, is to rack up the highest possible reward score it can.
And here's the cool part. You can see how this all maps directly to our trading bot. The agent? That's our bot. The environment? That's the hourly price data for the euro versus the US dollar. The actions it can take are super simple. Buy, sell, or just sit on the sidelines. The reward is tied directly to making a profit or a loss. And over thousands and thousands of these little trials, the set of decisions that the AI starts to prefer, well, that becomes its policy, its own unique strategy for trading.
This is such a great way to think about it. The AI doesn't have feelings or motivation, right? So it's just coded to relentlessly chase that reward. If a certain move leads to a good outcome more often than not, the AI learns to favor that move in the future. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful feedback loop.
All right, so that's the theory down. Now for the fun part. Let's look at how we actually build the trading environment. We're talking about the specific rules of the game for our AI.
Think of this table as the rule book for our AI's classroom. It's playing with the hourly euro/dollar chart, and at any given moment, its entire world is the last 30 hours of data. From there, it can go long, which is betting the price will go up, or short, betting it'll go down. And for every trade, it also has to pick a stop loss. That's the point where it cuts its losses, and a take profit level to lock in any gains. Now, these rules are super important, because if you give an AI way too many choices, it can actually make it way harder for it to learn anything useful.
Okay, the classroom is built, the rules are set, time to send our little AI to school. We're going to let it loose on a whole bunch of historical market data and see if it can figure out a profitable strategy all by itself.
And you know what? The first report card looked amazing. The AI chewed through about 50,000 different steps using data from 2020 to 2023. And this equity curve, look at it. It shows that it clearly learned something. It figured out a policy that consistently chased those positive rewards, and it steadily grew its virtual account balance over time.
So our little AI totally aced all the homework. Perfect score. It learned the patterns in that old data perfectly. But we all know the real test, right? For any trader, human or AI, is how you perform on stuff you've never seen before. So what happens when we go from the practice questions to the final exam?
And here we go. This is the moment of truth. We take our fully trained agent with the strategy it worked so hard to learn, and we unleash it on a totally fresh set of data from 2023 to 2025, a period it has never, ever seen before.
And here's where the story takes a turn. On the brand new unseen data, the performance was a completely different story. That beautiful upward sloping curve, it vanished, and it was replaced by this flat, choppy line. The brilliant strategy it learned during training, well, it just didn't work in the new market conditions.
So what on earth happened? How could an AI that looked so brilliant in training just fall flat when it counts? This really gets to the absolute core challenge of using AI in the financial markets.
Oh, the culprit has a name, and it's a classic problem in machine learning, overfitting. Here's the best analogy. Think of a student who just memorizes the answers for a practice test. Sure, they'll ace that test, but when they get to the final exam, with all new questions, they're totally lost. Our AI didn't learn a universal trading strategy. It basically just memorized the specific quirks and all the random noise from its training data.
But listen, this doesn't mean it's a total failure. It's not a dead end. There are a ton of ways you could try to fix this. You could give the agent better tools, like more advanced indicators. You could give it more flexible options for its stop loss or take profit. You could even try training it for a shorter amount of time so it doesn't have a chance to memorize everything. It's really just a very, very complex fine-tuning problem.
And this quote from the original piece just hits the nail on the head. Reinforcement learning has incredible potential here, for sure, but financial data is what you'd call noisy. It has a very low signal-to-noise ratio. And what that means is that it's just incredibly difficult for an AI to tell the difference between a real repeatable pattern and all the random, meaningless chatter that happens in the market every day.
And that kind of leaves us with this one big lingering question. Maybe the key to building a successful trading AI isn't about teaching it more rules or feeding it more data. Maybe the real challenge, the final boss, is teaching it how to navigate the chaos and tell the difference between a genuine signal and all that random noise.